there, beer hunters! Welcome to another episode of the Beer Huntress. I hope you're all exceptionally well. My name's Jo, I'm the manageress of a real ale and craft beer bar in Wigan in Greater Manchester called Wigan Central, and we are all about the beer. And that's exactly why I'm here for you today. I'm here to review a beer for you. Don't know what it's going to be yet, and that's why we turn to the Wheel of Styles, which is hashtag made by John, and this is going to pick what style we're going to be drinking. I'm then going to pick a beer from there, talk a little bit about the style history, a bit about the brewery history, and then we're going to do the tasting notes. So, if you're all up for that, I'll get this wheel spinning and we'll decide what we're having. Belgian. We have had Belgian recently, but I'm glad we've fallen on this because I know exactly what I want to review for you. I got quite excited when we hit on Belgian again, because after I did my last Belgian beer, I thought, you know what I really want to do? I really want to do a Flanders Red, just to see what everyone's reaction would be to this. This is a bit of a Marmite beer for people who've ever had a Flanders Red. It's very vinegary and very unusual, so I thought it'd be nice to try it out. Although we haven't touched on lambics just yet, I am going to skip a little bit further ahead. So beyond Brussels and the lambics that a lot of you may recognise and a lot of you love, the rest of Belgium was producing styles with similar kind of acidity, and this is where we introduce the Flemish Red. All Flemish red ales have a characteristically sour, fruity, vinegary kind of flavour, which is quite similar to a lambic, but a lot more intense. The Flemish have been producing beers for hundreds of years. In 1364, Emperor Charles IV, who was the Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, decreed that hops must be used in the process of brewing. Belgium was only under the Empire's jurisdiction up to the Scheldt River. Any breweries that were on the opposite side continued to use traditional souring methods rather than using hops in their brewing. They were producing strong beers that were brewed to be aged. They were intentionally designed to be aged for a long period of time and develop a considerable amount of tartness to them. The Flanders Red is made with darker malt than you'd find in your standard lambics that we know. It's much more malt forward, and it's also fermented using a mixed culture of ale yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, and lactobacillus, which we have touched on before, which produces the kind of lactic acid flavours. Once the beer's been produced, it's then aged in large wooden vats, which are known as foeders, for around 2 years, give or take. The foeders introduce wild yeast and bacteria necessary to develop the complexity and characteristics that we know from a Flanders Red. The most important bacteria is Acetobacter. Acetobacter will produce the signature acetic acid and vinegar flavour and the balsamico kind of taste to it that the Flanders Red is known for. Without the foeder, the introduction of Acetobacter is much more difficult to obtain. The beer inside the foeder has a small oxygen pocket at the top of it, right at the top of the vat, and Acetobacter requires oxygen to develop and produce the acetic acid that is necessary for this style. The acetic acid blends amazingly with the darker, fruitier malts that are produced with this one, creating a very fruity Flanders Red Ale that's got a strong plum, raisins, prunes, some raspberry, followed by orange, some spiciness, and then you get this balsamic vinegar-esque flavour, which is something that I absolutely adore in this style. The sour or acidic taste can range depending upon which beer you're tasting, and it can go from moderate to strong, but all the styles have a very low bitterness, if no hop profile whatsoever, but tannins can be quite common in them. Consequently, Flanders Reds or Flemish Reds are described as the most wine-like of beers, and they've been nicknamed the Burgundy of Belgium, and this is because of its similarities and complexities that are like the red wine. The brewery for this beer is Brouwerij Verhaeghe. hope I've pronounced that correctly. They were established in 1875 in Castle Farm in Vicht in West Flanders, and today it is still a family-owned brewery. They specialise in Flanders red ales, and in particular this beer, which is the Duchesse de Bourgogne. This is an internationally renowned Flemish red ale. After primary and secondary fermentation with the ale yeast and the lactobacillus, as discussed before, this ale is matured in oak barrels for 18 months. The final product is then blended with an 8-month beer of the same style and then an 18-month-old beer, put together until you get the perfect balance of flavour that is required. The name of the beer is meant to honour the Duchess Mary of Burgundy, who's the only daughter of Charles the Bold. And she was born in Brussels in 1457, but died in a horse riding accident. One of the fascinating things I find about this style is how much of a Marmite beer it is. And people can be on one side or the other. You either absolutely love this style or you absolutely hate it. I personally love the balance between the sour balsamic vinaigrette kind of flavour alongside the really fruity, chocolatey and red wine-esque flavours in it. And so I'm quite excited to be able to review this one for you today. So shall we have a look at it? Let's crack it open. Checking out the imagery on the front of this, so we've got Mary of Burgundy depicted on the front. Quite an iconic image for this beer, something you recognise. Other than that, relatively plain, not much else information. It's coming in at 6.2%, and then you've just got a bit of ingredients on the back. Nothing else really. So, we've got the family crest on the bottle top there. That looks like balsamic vinegar as well. That stunning red brown tinge as the light hits it, slightly off white tinge of a brown head. Just smelling from here, I can pick up that balsamic smell that I know I'm going to be tasting shortly. I love how gorgeous that red colour's come through on that. Beautiful. I've had so many arguments with people about this beer. About whether or not it belongs in a glass or whether or not it belongs on your chips. I can smell all that kind of acetic acid coming through, so that really nice vinegary smell, that balsamic smell. I've got an underlying chocolate, very light. We're talking dark chocolate here. There's a fruitiness, that raisins and dates and plums. Really quite intense stone fruits coming through on there too. And it smells really sweet, which is just a pleasure for the taste buds because you get this combination of sweet and sour. Here we go then. Oh, I love that beer. It's this beautiful balance of this intense fruit, really, really dark, like I say, plums and raisins and full, thick, juicy, plump fruits in there. This stunning acetic acid flavour all across the roof of the palate. Full balsamic, definitely vinegary. Loads of tannins, zero hop profile in this. We're not going for any kind of bitterness. It's all rounded malt, sweet mixed with this tartness and this strong acetic flavour. It's a sipper, I'll tell you that, but it is just delicious. It's really moorish on the palate, almost highlighting the umami flavours on the tongue. Slightly salty, slightly meaty, That doesn't sound good for a beer, but trust me on that one, you know, it's a good, savoury, enjoyable beer. It hits on that aspect. It smells and tastes amazing. It's such a unique style. You can taste the oak, the age in here. You can get the kind of woody, almost burnt wood. Not smoked wood, so we're not going peaty here, but you know, that kind of really kind of charred wood chips kind of flavour. A bit beechwoody. And that's just feeding him and giving it such a complexity. It's not a thick beer. It's certainly not got a lot of body, but it's got an awful lot of flavour. It's just like a really beautifully aged port, or heading towards a really kind of very heavily barreled wine. And I love the vinegar. I love the tang, the sour, without being a face melter. It's a sweet sour kind of thing. It's just stunning. I can't not rate this beer enough. It's a phenomenal beer. One that no matter what your taste buds are like, you definitely need to try it if you've not had it before, or even go for something like Rodenbach with theirs. Try an Oud Broom, but experiment with this style, because it is one definitely for your tip list. What a phenomenal beer. One of my favourites. I definitely won't be putting that on my chips. Well guys, if you've had this beer, let me know in the comments what you thought of it. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video as much as I've enjoyed drinking this beer. I've got a bit more to finish off yet, so I shall enjoy the rest of it. Keep wajbanking, and I shall see you next time for another episode of the Beer Huntress. Cheers! If you enjoyed this video guys, then please like, subscribe and share it with your friends. Hit that notifications button to get alerts when our new video is out. We're also on Facebook, Twitter and on Instagram, so check out the links in the description and follow us on there as well. If there's anything you'd like to see us review, please pop it in the comments and we'll pop it in the pump for later. Keep wajbanking, and I shall see you all next time for another episode of The Beer Huntress.